As a Christian, are we supposed to have doubts? I mean, often science raises issues that cause us to wonder, is Christianity really true? How do we deal with those things? Well, we're joined today by Ted Cabal, professor of philosophy of religion at Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, to help us wrestle through some of those doubts and figure out how to resolve them. Ted, it's good to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
I've enjoyed talking with you just throughout about some of the insights you have into how science and philosophy and theology all work together. I'm curious, have you had any doubts that have caused you to question, what is this true about Christianity and what do I deal with it?
Yeah. Actually, I've got more serious questions that are non-scientific than scientific. Maybe that's because I'm a non-specialist, but the kinds of classical questions that have been around since the earliest days of Christianity sometimes cause me to ponder. Let me say right off the bat, it is normal for all people to question, and I'll just give you a hint where I'll head up at the end. Everybody has them, whether they're a Christian or not. Atheists have them. In fact, it's only the non-reflective person who doesn't have some doubts about their worldview, and the reason is simple. None of us are God. None of us are omniscient. None of us has an answer to every question, including the really important ones we wish we had, that are airtight, that nobody can pop a bubble in, and so on.
So in some sense, having doubt is it's a positive sign, or at least it's a sign that you're thinking about things and wondering about things.
You're alive, you're breathing, and you care about things that are beyond your next meal or just having fun.
Right.
And
so what are some of those doubts that you've had to wrestle with?
It's interesting that typically the supposed hardest question for Christians is the philosophical one. How can God be all knowing, all powerful, and completely good, and yet there be evil and suffering in the world? That one doesn't bother me as much. I've actually worked hard on it for a long time, and I'm convinced that though there are things that are mysterious, there are not things that are contradictory to the Christian worldview, and that in fact its answers are far more satisfying than any of the other worldviews. But the kinds of questions that I do have that I think are serious are related to mysteries, like in the Bible, we look at passages in the Old Testament like the conquest of Canaan, and when God demands the extermination of the Canaanites, of Joshua and the Israelites, it immediately raises questions in our mind like, is this fair? Women and children, what is up with that? I think those are the fair kinds of questions that if you were to ask me, can I give you a partial answer? I can. I can give you an answer that I can even sleep with at night, which I'm sure some listeners might say, well, I can't live with any of your answers. But what's helped me find resolution to these is something beyond just looking at weighing out the completeness or the incompleteness of my answers.
Which is?
Well, I think in the end you have to look at the total worldview that you have and the completeness of your overall worldview and the way it answers things satisfactorily in general. Not every person's going to feel this way. Many people are going to find satisfaction and say, I can sleep at night without even having even partial answers for these things simply because I have this heart satisfaction in Christ. I don't see a problem with that. But I also think there are certain people who will find these questions raised in their mind, and they will not have as many answers as they might like. I think that I would fit in that category. When I was a younger man, as a teacher, as a pastor even, I couldn't admit that. Sometimes Christians feel like there's a failure of my faith if I admit that I have questions, especially as a teacher or a leader. You feel like, oh my goodness, I got to give them confidence by exuding confidence. And I think that's the wrong approach. It's not human. It's not even the way God has made us. So the way I find a resolution to this is I look at things, I look at what is it that I have that gives me confidence aside from this heart satisfaction I have in Christ. And in the end, Jeff, to me, I have so many answers, so much satisfaction. And when I compare that to these things that I have, that I don't have as many answers that I might like in fullness, and then I compare all of that over here with what seemed to me the incredible lack of full answers that other worldviews have. At the end of the day, I say, you know what? I'm really not worried about it. I don't lose one wink of sleep over it.